Welcome, everyone, to Textiles and Tea with the Handweavers Guild of America. I'm Kathy Group, and I'm your host today. We want to thank our sponsors today. Again, it's our Angel Guild from San Antonio Weavers Guild. Thank you so much for sponsoring another episode of Textiles and Tea. We do appreciate it. As always, you can put in questions, and if you would, please put them in the Q&A and not in the chat. We love the chat. That's always good, but I can see the questions if you put them in the Q&A. Not always can see them in the chat. Today, our guest is Jon Eric Riis. Jon has a passion for textiles, and the ethnographic art began while he was a child in Chicago in the 1950s. Jon Eric attended the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and went on to study at Cranbrook Academy of Art. In 1970, Jon was awarded a Fulbright Scholarship for the study of indigenous textiles of India. And in the early 1970s, he was the head of the crafts program at our home here in Georgia State University. In 2011, the United States Artist named Jon as a USA Windgate-Lamar Fellow Crafts in Traditional Arts. Jon has exhibited his tapestries throughout Europe and Asia, and his works can be found in numerous collections, including the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Art Institute of Chicago, the Cleveland Museum of Art, Museums of Art and Design, the Textile Museum, the Renwick Gallery, and the Smithsonian American Art Museum. We are so excited to have you here today, Jon. Hope you join us. Turn your camera on if you would, please.
Yes, I will.
He's shy. Do you see that button again?
Yes. Start video.
Hit it again. There you go. Hi, Jon.
Well,
you're there. We see you.
Oh, you do? But
yeah.
I don't see me.
We see you.
Okay. Okay, I see me.
There you go. There's always that delay. Well, welcome. It's so nice to have you here.
Well, it's nice to be here. Thank you.
Oh, we always ask the very important question at the beginning, which is, what is your favorite tea?
That's pretty easy. The Earl Grey or Darjeeling.
What's the second one?
Darjeeling tea.
Oh. Well, I bet I know where that came from, and we're going to talk about that some later.
You're exactly right. Darjeeling, India. Yeah.
So if you would talk a little bit about how you got started in fibers.
At the Art Institute in Chicago, I was very fortunate in having an instructor that kind of let me do my own thing. I had spent so much time at the Field Museum of Natural History looking at ethnographic textiles, and especially the Tibetan area really intrigued me. And seeing the costumes, the tantric masks, and really fearsome objects, kind of scary at times when you're a little kid. And that all translated into a project that she gave me with dealing with a Mexican textile, analyzing it and kind of creating other textiles off of this. So that was a good beginning.
Well, we're going to talk some more about that, because I love it that you were at the School of the Arts Institute of Chicago. What a hotbed that has been. And it's so interesting because we've had maybe 3 or 4 guests over the last 2 months from that school.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. And one thing that struck me, and I don't know, it sounds like it was true for you then, is that you were allowed to experiment and try different things. So when you first got to the school, were you doing fiber art, or did you start off in another modality?
Oh, completely different story. One has a number of orientation courses that you have to take for 6 to 8 weeks. And clay, I found fascinating, but that wasn't for me. Photography, sculpture, painting, and one of the areas was in textiles. And because of my interest in ethnographic things, that's what led me on here. And I didn't mention, growing up at home, my mother was an artist, went to the Art Institute in Chicago when they had their Saturday schools. And my grandfather was an artist, more of a commercial artist. And I was fortunate in getting all his artwork, all his materials, paper, colored pencils, when I was growing up. So that was intriguing also, all these art materials. And my uncle was also an illustrator. And way back when my grandmother was living in Sweden, she was a weaver and grew her own linen and flax. And I have all those weaving equipment, her weaving equipment here, except no looms. But that has kind of carried on. And a grandfather on my Norwegian side went to the World's Fair in Chicago doing gold leafing. And I guess back in Oslo, he was doing gold leaf on books. And I don't know how he got here or why he left and went back to Norway. I don't know much about that history.
Well, I didn't realize that your grandmother was a fiber artist. That's amazing. And that you kept all of her materials. That's wonderful.
I did. And, she wasn't doing, it was more utilitarian sheeting material and household goods, not artwork so much.
Uh-huh. Well, this first piece we're going to look at is called Young Icarus. It's so amazing. It's an incredible piece of work. It's very powerful. And for those who don't know, the story of Icarus is often used as a way to show how man's ambition or conceit can be a downfall. He got these wings and he went too close to the sun and the wax melted and he fell. So, how did this story resonate with you? What was the attraction for this story?
Well, I let me think here. After the World Trade Center calamity,
Oh,
I did three large textiles dealing with Icarus, kind of the fall of I don't know how to say it, but the downfall of our society at that time, at least with New York and what was going on there. And
mm-hmm.
that kind of was what started. I had done commission work for about 25 years, and John Portman, an architect in Atlanta, saw an exhibit of mine, and he asked me if I would be interested in going to China to be the art director for this big project in China. And I said, of course I would. So I did that. And at the same time, I had that tapestry commission set up in my studio and hired, I had about 5 students working with me that I trained. And they were mostly from Cambodian backgrounds. And that worked very well. But then when I got to China for 2 years, my commission work just came to a screeching halt.
Mm.
People had thought I had passed away, or I don't know what they were thinking. But commissions, I couldn't react because you usually have to spend a lot of time tracking these down, doing designs, getting the approval. That didn't happen. So when I got back to my studio, I let everyone go, early retirement for these folks. And I just started doing work on my own. And that's what I've been doing ever since that period of time. No more commissions, just doing what I wanted to do. And what gave me that opportunity, I had always collected textiles and all of a sudden became a dealer uh, with textiles, older pieces, and my own work, and did a lot of shows in New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles and Chicago with the Arts of Pacific Asia shows. And I was fortunate being the only artist uh, that I could show my own work and also present antique textiles. So that worked very
Oh,
well. So I'm still doing that to this day. That's what gives me this time to devote. Some of the pieces take a year to do, and you need income, and that's what really what happened.
Yeah, as we go through some of these images, I think people will become more aware of the detail and the work. Here's a great example of a close-up of this and just how fine the tapestry stitches are, and how it makes sense how long it takes. Now, my understanding is these the wings on the right, that's made with metallic thread.
That's correct. Most people, the first time they see my work, they think it's beadwork because of that lustrous
I did.
sheen.
I thought it was beadwork. I chose this thinking, oh, look at these beads. This is great. Yeah.
If it were beads, that would even be more incredible, I think. But no, these are feathers that are individually woven, and all the ends are clipped. Before, I used to take an auxiliary thread and weave the weft, weave the warp back into each end so it could never disintegrate or be pulled out or fray. And then all of a sudden, I found out about fray check, that magic solution that you just put on the edges of these feathers, and that keeps it from disintegrating. But not healthy to be breathing. You have to go outside and do that. Fresh air. Yeah, it's not
'Cause
a.
that's a lot of freight check, I bet.
It's a lot. Yes, I wish I had bought it in gallon format, but that just didn't happen.
Well, someone's already asked this question, and I'm going to ask it now because I want to be able to talk about it while we have the image up. One of the things about your work is that it's hard to tell what is weaving, and like if you're weaving a shadow, is it just the weaving that shows a shadow, or is it an honest to God shadow from 3D? And that's what somebody's asking about these feathers. Are the shadows in this image woven, or are they actual 3D and the shadows are from having two different layers?
It's actually two different layers. The shadow from the photography. Yeah, but
Because,
on Icarus here, you see the little wings.
mm-hmm.
You see shadows, and that's all from the photography because those two wings were added onto the tapestry, making it three-dimensional.
But at the same time, on that picture on the left, you do a beautiful job of sculpting using shadow, and it's in the tapestry, so it's hard to tell.
Mm.
And I say this every time. It's like I want to see the one in real life. I want to see what it looks like up close and personal. It's
Well, come
just so
over.
amazing how you do that.
Well, just come over to the studio and I'll show you.
Oh, okay.
The thing here, I don't think you have the actual drawing that my grandfather did in 1910. A whole series of studies he did when he was a student, and I took one of those images and reinterpreted that into this tapestry.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Oh, wow. Multi-generational. I like that. Oh, this is beautiful. It really is beautiful.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Well, the next image we're going to show does show some of the beadwork. I hope I'm right. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
actual beadwork. Yes,
Yeah. Now
yes,
this is Icarus 3, correct?
that's correct. There was
Okay.
one, two, and three, and I think you have the other two images now. I think.
And how big is this piece, if you remember,
Oh,
roughly?
about 10 by 6, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the bottom is also Swarovski crystal, that water treatment.
Right. So the next image, here we go. This next image, you really can see the beads on this. It's amazing. And this did take a long time.
It did. It's all my work, unfortunately, does. I don't know why I'm into that vogue of working, but yeah, it does take time.
Okay, I've been asked to clarify it's 10 feet by 6 feet, right?
I somewhere around that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Now at the time you were doing this, were you seeing this kind of use of crystals and different materials in works, or was this kind of unique to you?
No, Icarus 1. Um, has a big section of water that's done in the same way, and that's how it all started.
Oh,
There were,
okay.
there were other tapestries I did. For instance, Dorothy Takes a Holiday. Her shoes were ruby. Her ruby shoes were done in Swarovski crystal, and
Oh, okay.
some other things I've done. So this was about the third or fourth piece with beadwork.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, the other thing that's very unique to you, I think, is the use of coats. They somewhat look like kimonos, like these. They're amazing. Um, and what was the catalyst for you to start using this medium or this kind of design?
Well, I have done so many coats in the past. I don't know if you have images of pieces that are in the Cleveland Museum, the Hearts of Gold. I wove two coats that were precious material on the outside, gold thread, and harking back to Chinese textiles called a pufu. These were jackets that were worn by imperial officials with their rank on a Mandarin square was stitched to this garment. And I kind of took that idea and for a male and female, put their chest on that area. And then when you open this textile, you had their interior organs. That gold outside was protecting the interior. And I did a number of those.
Yeah, we just put the link in the chat if people want to go to that piece and look at it. So what was the idea
Well,
behind
well,
this?
okay. This I had gone to Tibet, uh, in fact, numerous times, and just overwhelmed with the skull form. And these are not threatening; they're all smiling, and just wanted to do something with those little roundel areas with the black. Those are eyes, and they're looking at these skulls in different directions. And I wanted to do something very opulent. So the background is all freshwater pearls and that metallic thread, which looks like beadwork. And then the interior of the coat opens up, and you have this surprise element of a larger grinning skull looking at you. Yeah, and this weighs about 50 pounds. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
not something you can walk around in really. And all of my coats, the woven ones, are open on the sides. So they're really not wearable. Decorative. Okay.
So I know somebody's going to ask them, so I'm going to ask this. I'm going to go ahead and ask it now. When you design these, do you cut the coat out and then do the tapestry, or
No,
do the tapestry and then cut?
no. In this example, the outer coat, all of those skull forms were woven separately and
Hmm.
then applied to leather because 50 pounds, you can't just stitch that on fabric. So it has a very good foundation. And then the interior coat, that was woven in that form of a coat, not applied and not cut out from the big sheet of black. So that's all tapestry. And then the two are joined together. Does
Did
that?
you have a lot of trial and error in this? How'd you figure
Mm,
this out?
no, because you do a cartoon and yeah, no, I didn't ever have any problem with that. They usually fit. And remember, you can kind of fold that black. I made it a little bit larger so it fits that white area of the leather outside.
Just the construction of it is amazing. Just how you did that is amazing. Well, we're going to talk about another coat. And this one again, the
Oh,
faces on here are amazing. So this one is a work about the ancestry, I think. I'm assuming that's what it's about. And how powerful the message is about our beginnings. And especially when you open it up and you see what is inside, which is all of our beginnings. So would you talk about this piece?
I'd be happy to. This idea, I wanted, I'm into into the figurative aspect here, and certainly faces play a big part in what I do. I wanted to show different ethnic populations here, and I wanted these individuals to look like old photographs, precious photographs, and each one is woven with just two color threads, black and white, and then beadwork, this gold beads go around each face uh, to frame them. And each one of these photographic images was padded, so it was a little bit three-dimensional. And again,
Okay, John, let me interrupt you for just 1 second. Mandy, can you go back to the previous image so we can see those? No, go back, not forward. To the
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm sorry, I can't see.
Sorry.
Here.
There we go. I just want I want people to look at this while you're talking about it.
okay, this is easier to understand. Each face of them surrounded with gold beads to look like an old photograph, and then applied to leather, and then the pearls were attached to the leather piece. So the only large tapestry is the interior that was one large shape, similar to the skull foam that we saw earlier. And you have different, I mean, you can look at these faces and see some are Asian and some are Caucasian and some are black. So you have.
Where did you get the faces from?
Oh, looking through magazines.
Oh.
And yeah, I can't, I wish I had done this again. I would have used friends, but that didn't happen here.
Your
And
next project. There you go.
this took a little while.
I bet.
Another one of these.
So then you did the inside, and the inside is much bigger. This image is much bigger than the last one,
much,
isn't it?
oh, much bigger and much more complicated. But again, only 3 colors.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, Mandy, if you want to go to the next image and we'll look at that again. Poor Mandy. I drive her crazy.
Oh, there it is.
There
Okay.
it is.
Here you can see the first ancestor, at least in my mind, which you have here. And yeah, and you get a good image of the on the right side, what the pearls look like.
Oh, I can't imagine how long it took you to do that.
Yeah, and that piece is living in a home now in, let me think, in Aspen.
Oh, okay.
And it was a neighbor of mine that bought this that also lives in Aiken, South Carolina. So
There you go, Mandy.
yeah, that was for Mandy. Yeah.
Is it hard to let go of a piece like this? To send it off into
Well, in order for me to keep producing, I'm very happy this went to a home and they're happy with the piece. But no, I still have a lot of work in my studio. And I'm getting older. I've been doing this for 55 years. So long time working with thread.
This next image is a kind of a continuation of the theme. And
Yes.
now this one, I read an article about this piece, and they called it cameos. And I thought how that is kind of true. Like you just feel like you could put this on your, pin this on your shirt like a cameo. Would you talk some because you actually made it more 3D, which we can't see, of course, but
Well, again, it's each one of these faces was individually woven and applied to that tapestry background. But each piece is, again, poly foam is on the back side of each figure, giving it that three-dimensional quality. And then everything is interlocked with each other like a tree of life, connecting each figure. And you have little leaves there indicating that these are branches. So there you have everyone.
now are the branches woven,
The wool,
applied?
yeah, no, the background against that white and the gold, that's all tapestry. Oh,
There we
there
go.
you get a much better idea here. What's going on?
Oh my gosh. And then that's beading around the faces, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's beading. Uh-huh.
I know everybody's doing the same thing as me, is going, I want to see the real thing.
Well, you'll you'll just have to
And I
come.
bet it really catches the light. Was that important for you also?
Well, I think it's the way it's not when I was actually weaving it, no. But once
Okay.
it's done, then yeah, then you have to get a good photographer.
Oh,
Yeah, remember it's metallic thread, so that also helps
oh,
give it a little
okay.
bit more depth. The background is silk and metallic thread, but these faces are done with a Japanese thread that has polyurethane over it, so it's not going to tarnish or change, at least in my lifetime, because I've used a lot of threads from Tinsel Trading Company in New York City that dealt in antique threads primarily from Europe and France. And the only problem is that within time, some of these silver threads tarnish. And I don't use that any longer because of that feature.
Oh, wow. How do you find your metal yarn? I mean, do you just go online and you found places that offered it, or?
Oh, you know, it's funny. I was a board member of the Japanese embroidery uh,
Oh,
group here in Atlanta, up
uh-huh.
Dunwoody, where I used to live very nearby. And they had a beautiful assortment of metallic threads that they use for embroidery. So I just got in touch with that company and started using their product for weaving, not for embroidery.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And metallic thread is a little dangerous because sometimes it's very rough and serrated a little bit. And when you're weaving, you're going across your warp threads, and it's like you're sawing them. If you
Ooh.
pull too hard, you're going to, yeah, go right through the warp. So
Oh,
it
oh
takes it
no.
takes a lot of discipline. Yep, that's for sure.
Oh, wow.
And then many times the thread is so thin, you have to ply it. And, you know, I weave with 3 or 4 colors at a time
Oh, okay.
to get the coloration you want.
So this variation that we're seeing in these background threads is some of that from plying the threads?
Yes, it is. But
Oh,
again, these are done with just 2 colors.
wow.
And you can modulate the coloration, the gray, adding more white or vice versa.
Oh, wow.
It's funny looking back at these. I can hardly remember the time doing these, but there they are.
Old friends.
Old friends, that's right.
Well, the last two images we looked at, they've been somewhat of a monotone. And these next pieces, I loved the contrast in these. You've got that kind of neutral, almost looks like a pencil drawing. And then with it, you have these lovely, rich colors. So can you talk some about why did you choose that contrast? What was that for you?
Okay, I was having a show in Paris at the Chevalier Gallery, and I wanted to do something extremely French. And during that neoclassical period around 1900, I mean, yeah, 1800, excuse me, I found these beautiful drawings of neoclassic male and female pieces. And I kind of reinterpreted these and wanted to upgrade it. And I did this idea of a tattoo on the face, and then again introducing Swarovski crystal on these. And these are about 5 feet by 3.5 feet, I think.
Wow, they're
Uh,
huge.
yeah, they were large, and they sold in Paris, so somebody liked them.
How could they not, John? How could they not?
Who knows, but these are about one of my favorite pieces.
Oh, they're amazing. They're just so, and again, I know I keep using the same word powerful, but they are. And I love it that it's kind of a simplicity, but yet they're so dynamic. look at it forever and see all the different designs and the leaves and the flowers. Oh,
But you
it's
know, I love that blue background too. I think that just sets it off.
yeah, yeah, it's different. It's not what you would expect. Well, none of this is what you would expect. You know, again, the combination of the colors and the beige and yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. Thank you. Oh, and then this one, you see my little indication, my little, I don't know, on the left-hand side in the corner, you
uh-huh.
see a little R, maybe.
Oh, okay.
That's a little pewter stamped piece that I embroider into the textile or add into the textile.
Oh, good for you.
My little signature.
Um, One thing that was interesting is that you use a lot of symbolism. You have meanings and statements in your work. And I'm always curious when I talk with an artist and I look at their work, how do you find that balance between the aesthetics of it, the visual, making those choices so it looks right or it looks good, for lack of a better word, and balancing that with being able to make your statement? You know, do you ever get to the point where you think, well, it would look better if I did this, but it's a better statement if I do that? Does that make
So
sense?
it's a little bit too late. Yeah. What, you know, it's funny. I kind of start with a title.
Oh, okay.
And that kind of gets me going in a direction. You don't have babes in arms here, do you? My,
No.
no, okay. That was a large project I did. There were a number of murders or killings here in Atlanta of young children shooting each other.
Mm.
I mean, these are toddlers. And I did 3 large beaded figures, and each child was holding a handgun. And they were all done in coral beads and tapestry and about 5 feet each. And these went to numerous textile shows that HGA had sponsored uh, and created a lot of controversy. One show in California, uh, I guess this individual was very upset. He had taken his children to see this, and he was really upset. And they had them cover the figures with sheets. That almost made it worse, I think. Um, so, yeah.
When was that?
Probably, you know, I was traveling in China at that time, and I get this email saying, "Hey, you won't believe what happened to some of your works." Oh, that must be about 20 years ago, I think. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Art's powerful.
It certainly was. That has happened to a number of my pieces where you have,
Really?
even at the University of Georgia, I did a whole series with David, that sculptural aspect, and reinterpreted this, and there were warnings to children, and you know, and the organizer of this, the curator, said, "We're not doing the show if these aren't in there." So she stood her ground, and everything worked out okay.
Wow, I did not know that. And I live here. I had no idea that went on. That's amazing.
Mm, I didn't either. It's funny what happens sometimes.
Well, that's kind of leads into my next question because from what I understand, when you first started, you did more abstract and then kind of gradually became more realistic in your work. Can you talk some about that? How'd that come about for you?
Okay, when I was teaching at Georgia State, I was doing very small tapestries. I mean, just 5, 6, 8 inches. And then a show took place where I did one large piece, a large tapestry rug. And oh, what was I thinking here? Um,
From
and
the abstract to
and then,
the,
yeah, abstract. And then John Portman came through and liked what I was doing. And all of a sudden, I stopped teaching at that point. I was pretty brave back then, and just started my tapestry commission business for some 20 years. and wove all of these gigantic pieces for hotels around the world and banks and what have you. And one of my large pieces, believe it or not, is in San Antonio, Texas, at one of the art schools, hanging up in their lobby. It was something I did, and it was so large when the building, let me think of what building was. This was Georgia Pacific Company in Atlanta. This was in their lobby. And then they changed their whole lobby out, and that textile disappeared and went to, they didn't know what to do with it. And I recommended San Antonio, and they were very happy to put this up. So there it is. To this day, it's in their art building.
Oh, that's good.
So I did all of this work for years and got very tired of just doing texture and color. And I had so much to say at that time. And then after coming back from China with my tapestry business kaputs, then I had time to do my own work. So that's what happened. This figurative aspect came back into my life, which I'd always been doing, except for that interlude of 25 years in between when I was doing commission work.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If that explains it, I think. But I did do one large tapestry for Southern Bell building here in Atlanta that was only about 6 blocks from my home. And it's funny, working on this, it was somewhat figurative because I had depicted workers for Southern Bell in the piece standing there in the background. And it's funny, as many of these folks from Southern Bell would come over to my studio and see how my project was coming along. And they'd always put their 2 cents in, can you do this? Can you do this? And yeah, after a while, but I did add a few more figures, is what they wanted. So it's funny. They wanted a woman and a person of color, and worked all that in. Yeah, interesting what happens. And then finally that tapestry, I think it's been removed now, but it was in this area of intense light. And it was bright red when I wove the piece because the walls were all tile red and it had to kind of fit in. And if you looked at it years and years later, it was a pink tapestry hanging there. So they didn't take my advice and try to do something with the window treatment to offset this change in color from bleaching. So, and that's gone now. So I don't know where that piece went.
Oh,
I know, and it was huge. I mean, like 20 feet by 15 feet. One of
wow.
those. I know. And all the yarns were linen imported from Europe. Yeah, that was a big project. Took a while.
Well, what are you up to next? I know we've got some images of some upcoming things for you. What's next for you?
Well, over the years, I've been involved with going to India and looking at these textiles that were also figurative, which is very, very rare in Indian textiles. Okay, this gives you an idea. I was just in India about a month ago, going to Murshidabad, India, where these creations that I'm going to show you were made. And this was the old capital of India in about 1700. And then it moved to Calcutta and then to New Delhi. But this is contemporary times now. Next. Oh, well, okay, next. Well, they're a little bit out of order here, so I don't know. Yeah, can we go back one more? Okay, this is one of the temples that you're seeing, which is made of terracotta. And a lot of those symbols motifs are actually reinterpreted in the textiles that you're going to be seeing in a minute. And I was fortunate in joining a tour group. There was a big conference in India on textiles from Bengal, and that's where these pieces are from. And one of their trips, they took 12 people to Murshidabad, and it was just a fantastic experience. And that was a dining table for the 12 of us, staying at a palace that had been reconstructed. The place was absolutely falling apart. And about 20 years ago, investors came and got it into tip-top shape. So that was part of the experience. Okay. There was a train on the right-hand side that we took. And that hadn't changed in 50 years. It was still the same kind of experience. And I'll have to tell you, it's funny, 2 weeks ago, I was in the Yucatan traveling on their Mayan train, which is absolutely the most incredible experience, clean, beautiful. I can't complain about anything. It was a great trip. So look into the Mayan train in Mexico for your next upcoming trip. It was perfect. Okay, on the left-hand side, you see part of this old palace that is a hotel. Next. Okay, this is out of order. This was going to the train station with the group of folks that, the 12 people that made up the party for this experience. Next. And they came from all over. I mean, she was English woman. Okay, now we're at one of the areas where they are doing weaving. However, this is not at all what they were doing in the 18th century. These are contemporary pieces weaving saris that really have nothing to do with my project, but they're still doing textiles there. Next. Okay, this is important because this is one of the temples where you see those floral motifs that you'll see on textiles that were produced in the 1850s, and then other motifs with carts and elephant travel that you'll also see on motifs in their saris. Next. Okay, here we go. Now you do see two details from saris that were done. And on the right side, you see animal forms in a forest because there were so many hunting scenes with Maharajas going through and killing the wildlife at that time. That was kind of a game that they did. And then the other piece is quite unusual because the person in the bottom center is actually putting water on the streets to keep the dust down because the area was so dusty and keeping so you could breathe. And it's a very humid, hot area too, part of India. And these textiles were all hand spun silks, mulberry silk, and very, very soft and took dyes very well, all natural dyed. Next. Oh, there's my favorite piece. And it's, in fact, it's behind me as I speak. You can see it, but the detail on this piece, and these are Westerners sitting here, not Indians, because at this period of time, you had the English that were just ruling over this whole area. Murshidabad only lasted around 1850. The capital was moved to Calcutta, and the whole place just deteriorated very quickly. And then you have a floral piece on the other slide on the right side. Next. Okay, here you have a layout on the right side of what these borders look like on the Paulu part of the Indian sari. And that gives you a much better idea of what I'm dealing with. All of these motifs here in these little squares. This one happens to depict a man smoking a hookah, and he is an Indian nobility here on this piece. And then on the left side, you have Indian ladies with birds. And I don't know what they're holding in their hands, but it took about 6 months to weave one of these saris. So these were really used by very, very wealthy people. Next. Okay. Well, here you have a close-up of the individual smoking the hookah. And you'll notice that in these pieces, the brocade, there are a lot of color changes as you go from one figure to the next to the next. Just incredible technique. And weaving in those circumstances, no light. I mean, I just can't imagine how difficult this was. Next. Okay, and the other thing that is depicted here during this period of time, this is when trains were introduced to the region, and carts. What else can I tell you? Steam engines, boats. So you have all of these aspects taking place in their textiles. So it's really a period of history here of the time. And that's really what appeals to me too. Next.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. How are we doing time-wise? We're okay?
Well, we've got time for a couple of questions. A lot of the questions, and to let y'all know if I'm not answering it, it's because John's answered it as we've gone along. And several of you have asked the same question. So, but I do want to catch a couple of these before we have to stop today. This was a good one. I should have asked this, Carla. Good job, Carla. You do use feathers in several of your pieces. Is there a meaning for you, what the feathers mean for you?
Oh, it's something I don't know what to say. Oh, I know. It also stems from studying Peruvian textiles and their use of those feather pieces that they did on ponchos. That always attracted me. And I've collected feather pieces from other cultures, Bolivia, India, and not so much India. I mean, the kingfisher feather work from China is incredible. And all of those things just played a part in my way of thinking. Yep. But really, Peru is number one. When I was applying for my Fulbright, I wanted to go to Peru. And that area was, couldn't do it.
Oh.
All of a sudden, India popped up, and I had to think real quick, what can I do there? But I was interested in ikat, so that worked out fine. The double ikat from Patan, India, and I did go and study with the family, so that was worthwhile. And came back and gave hundreds of workshops on on ikat techniques. So that was a good start.
Oh, yeah. Several people have asked about how you apply the crystals and beads when you're doing your tapestry. Do you do them afterwards or while you're weaving?
Oh, you can't. No, certainly afterwards. And these are not all fixed with glue. They're all hand sewn in there. I would never do that. Yeah. No, and you couldn't do this otherwise. I mean, it would all be crushed when you apply tension and rolled it on the beam. It's all done afterwards.
Okay. Oh, what is this? This is Barbara Hilton Nash. She wants to know, what is the set of the ape that you did? Do you use a general set for all your pieces? Does it vary?
Oh, about 15 inches. I mean,
Okay.
50, yeah. Yeah, it varies depending on what kind of warp I have. But I usually use cotton.
Well, that was my next question. What do you use for warp? Somebody, Barbara Burns was asking that.
Yeah. When I was at Cranbrook, I did a very laborious project once with very fine linen. And I went through so many cans of hairspray, just keeping that stuff. Oh, yeah, yeah, what a project.
Again, you should have had stock in, you know,
That's right.
the glue and the hairspray.
That's right. That was a lesson learned. Yep.
This is a question we get every time. We always have to know, what kind of loom do you use?
Okay, I have Cranbrook counter marsh looms,
Okay.
Scandinavian in design. And when I went to India, in the classroom, I walk in and what do they have? Cranbrook looms from
Really?
Pontiac, Michigan. I couldn't believe it. I'm not there to work on the same loom I was working on in the States. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. And they were all in there weaving terry cloth towels. And I thought, oh no, this is not what I'm here for. So I went off and did my ECOT and other projects. So turned out okay.
Um,
They thought I was a little bit too rebellious too because I didn't want to stay and do that, but that's okay.
Anne Marie Miller wants to know, do you ever have two weavings going on at the same time?
Always.
Considering how long it takes to complete one, do you grow weary over time? And how do you prevent being weary?
Oh, you know, when I had my commission tapestry business, I had so many looms, two 10-foot looms and a variety of others, and finally gave those up. And it's funny, a young lady came to my studio when she was buying my 10-foot loom. And I said, well, have you woven before? No, I just want to try. And I thought, oh, you just don't know what you're getting into here. I said, one person doing this, never having woven before. And I said, well, if you have any issues, you let me know and I'll come and help you. Never
Oh,
heard a peep. No, I don't know what happened with her, but that was it. Yes, I have many projects going on at one time, and I have smaller looms, so that keeps me sane. But now I'm going to
and,
work small. No more 10-foot looms, no more 8-foot, 6-foot, working smaller scale.
and at one time you had people helping you.
Oh, I
But
sure
now
did.
you're working alone, right?
Well, sometimes I have two ladies that live in Cumming, Georgia. If I need help, they'll come down and work with me.
Oh,
One
okay.
was a dentist that couldn't find work, and she's so um, meticulous. She's just perfect. Yep, a good
Oh, that's a
person.
good
Good
for
person.
them.
And
Um,
she likes to work with beads, so I couldn't ask for a better situation here.
Betty Womack wants to know, how long are your warps?
That's a good question because they're always changing. I don't. How long are they? I think
Do
probably
you ever warp like for two pieces and cut it off, or you just warp for that one piece?
usually it's one piece because I don't know. Yeah, if I do those coats, it's certainly for two because
Okay.
I'm oh maybe two, one, two, maybe 10 yards.
I think that's what Betty was asking.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'd rather have too much than not enough. That's for sure.
Michaela Sidori. Hi, Michaela. She was on here. This is a good question, and I think we all need to think about this. But what decisions have you made about where your collection will go?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, since the Smithsonian has so much of my work already, maybe, I mean, if they're interested, it could go there. Or the Textile Museum in Washington is another choice because I've sold so many pieces up in that Washington area. And a lot of people have donated pieces to the Textile Museum. So they already have a good start. And I have a good relationship with them. So, and the High Museum, I like them very much, but I don't think that that is the area. I don't know, it's difficult. Oh, the Art Institute in Chicago will get some of my older tapestry pieces that are not mine, but just antique things.
Oh, okay.
If you
Yeah,
have
because you
any
have two things you've got to
suggestions,
do, right?
let me know. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff I have to, and I'm not getting any younger. That's always staring you in the face here. What am I going to do with all this stuff? And I spent a lot of time working with AID in Central America, and I have a big collection of Guatemalan things, but I don't know. What do you do with those? I don't know. If you have any ideas, let me know.
There you go.
Okay, I'm waiting.
All
Okay.
right. We have so many people in the chat that are saying hi to you. I'm going to save
Well,
this for
that's
you.
nice. Thank you.
Tommy Scanlon and Edwina Bringle. Hi, Edwina.
Oh, Edwina and I took my first course at Penland with her, and we had such a
Oh, yeah.
that was so nice. Yeah, and she's doing great things.
I can't believe it, but it's been an hour. John, we have to stop. It flew by.
Well, you just come back.
Okay. The next one is going to be at your home.
Okay. Oh, I forgot to we didn't really talk about Tears for America, that tapestry.
I know. We need another day.
I know, and that one was in reference when Trump was elected a number of years back, his first term, and now that piece is more poignant than ever. So here we go again.
Here we go again.
History repeats itself. Yeah.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope we will see you again, maybe in the fall. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yes, that'd be
would-
fun.
We would love to come and invade your space and see all of your work and up close and personal. So thank you so much for being on here. These are the last few textiles and teas I'll be doing. So I am so excited that I got to be the one to interview you. So thank you so much, John.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Enjoyed talking with you too.
I hope I see you again soon. You're just down the street, so I got to come by.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
And I thank HGA for getting me involved again. Thank you.
Well, you've done a lot for HJ over the years. It's nice to have you back.
Well, thank you. And everyone, stay good.
We want to thank our sponsor today too. I'm sorry, I'm jumping the gun here. Here is his website. Y'all go look at it and check out the different links that we put on there. And I know a lot of you are going, why didn't you show that work? This was a tough one. There were so many incredible pieces John has done. We could have a 3-hour show and not get through it all. So we did try to put as many links as we could in the chat, and go to his website. You'll see a lot of his work there and his Instagram, and hopefully you'll be able to look at it and remember what he was saying, and, watch it again and go back and look at it. So some artists, you just don't have enough hours in the day to see some of their works. But thank you all. Go to this website and check out his work and the latest and the books that he's got coming out and the exhibits that he's got coming up. So check those out. Now, again, I do want to thank our sponsor, San Antonio Weavers Guild. They're our guild angels. They've stepped up and sponsored several episodes. We thank you so much, San Antonio Weavers Guild. And I hope you've enjoyed the episodes that you've been the sponsors for. They've been amazing. So thank you again. If you're interested in being a sponsor, your business, your guild, or a group of people, we've had a lot of those, just people getting together and wanting to sponsor either a particular person or a particular type of artist. Go online, pick a date, and you can sponsor that date, or give us a call and we'll work with you to have a specific date that you would like to have. So thank you all so much for your sponsorships. We've got Careers in Textiles coming up March the 21st. That is around the corner. If you know someone who is a student just graduating, looking to change careers, this is a great day of panel discussions. These people are coming from different points of view about careers and jobs and how you get into this job and that kind of thing. It's a great day. So it's really geared towards students, recent graduates, and anybody who's looking to young professionals, or if you're looking to change your profession and get into the fiber arts, check it out. It's a different way to look at your career path, how you want to get where you want to go. You'll you'll be inspired, and it's kind of eye-opening to, because I think so many of us think art, fiber art is here. When you listen to these people, you realize you really can go outside that box and find a career with fiber that suits you. And so I encourage you all to do that. We will also have universities there talking about their art programs. So if you know any students that might be interested, please let them know. All of you students who are watching, I hope you'll join us that day. Again, it's March 21st. You can go online and learn more at weavespindye.org. We also have, this is new. This is called a Fiberthon. And we're excited because it's inspiring stories. We've got people coming on and talking about their work, their community, all kinds of aspects of their fiber world. So please join us. It's all day long, 12 hours. It's starts at noon Eastern time on March 27th. It's going to showcase a lot of our artists and talent in the community, and it's in a way that we can raise money for HGA. We want to keep all this programming going, and this is a great way to do it. It's all on Zoom. You can watch it later if you want, but it's a great way to learn more about the community out there. We're excited to try this. This is new this year. We'll see how it goes. Please join us. We're excited to have you there. If you are interested in watching the episodes later, you can do that. Tell a friend, watch it together. You can watch it on HGA's Facebook page, or you can watch it on YouTube. If you like watching on YouTube better than Facebook, sign up, because when you subscribe, you'll get a notice saying something else has been uploaded. So if you want to watch it again, you can always watch it later. Next week, we have somebody who's near and dear to my heart. Like I said, I'm kind of counting down the days when I won't be doing this anymore. And I'm going to interview Arturo Sandoval, and he is the reason I'm in fiber art. He was my instructor at the University of Kentucky, and I knew when I met him, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in fiber. So he's next week. So I hope you'll come join me. Aside from that, he's an incredible artist. He was putting fiber art in these, kind of like John. They're very similar. He was putting art in these buildings and getting these commissions back when that was unheard of. And so he's a great man. That's going to be a wonderful talk. I hope you'll join us. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Tuesday. Happy tea.